Hello and welcome back to Release Readiness Live, or welcome if it's your first day. I'm Elna Miller, your community moderator. I'm excited to be here this whole week as we've been talking about some of the great new features in the Winter 20 release across all the major clouds. We're here this morning with communities and B2B commerce, so lots of great content for you today. Now, what I love about Release Readiness Live is that no matter what kind of Trailblazer you are, whether this is your first Salesforce release or your 20th, you'll learn something new that you can use. Our product team is right here in the studio to review the features and show you some live demos, as well as answer some of your questions on the air. Speaking of questions, let's just take a quick moment to review how this works. We will be monitoring both the Release Readiness Trailblazers community and Twitter, and the most important thing to remember is to use the hashtag #SalesforceLive. Now, I recommend posting your longer, more thoughtful questions in the community where the conversation can continue after the webcast. We do have a no question left behind policy, so if we don't get to your question on the air, don't worry, we'll be sure to follow up with you within the next few days. We are recording this broadcast, so you can watch it back whenever you like. Now, since we may be covering some roadmap and making some forward-looking statements, please make sure that any purchasing decisions you make are based on currently available functionality. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and meet our product manager for today. Gayatri, you're on.
Yep. Hey everyone, my name is Gayatri Geeta. I'm super excited to be here today. I'm going to be talking about our innovation in experience platform and our new CMS that I'm very excited about. So that's about me.
Hi Anna, good morning everyone, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Fabrice Albo, Product Manager on Communities. I've been here before, thank you for having me back. You asked for a fun fact, born and raised in France, but I left France in '98 and I've been trailblazing the world since then, living and working in 6 countries. So the Bay Area is home right now.
And hi everyone, I'm Ako Wheeler. I'm a product manager for B2B Commerce. This is actually my first time joining the Release Readiness Live, so I'm very excited. And I'm also very thrilled to be able to share the exciting new features that came out for B2B Commerce.
All right. Thank you. Great. Welcome back, and welcome to your first time. So, Gayatri, I think we should just dive straight in and let's see what you got for experience.
Let's get started. So over the last year, we've had some really great product innovation in areas like mobile publisher, we have account relationships, CMS, and this has fueled some really amazing customer momentum. I mean, we are so excited. We have 450 million members who use communities today, and get this, we launch 30 sites live every day, which is phenomenal. So I want to thank all of our customers listening to us on the call worldwide for all the love you've been showing us here. So today we have a jam-packed agenda for you. I'm going to be talking through the experience platform and CMS, some really great features here, both on the experience building side and with content creation. And there's also some exciting pilots coming up as well, and I'll share the details a little later. And Fabrice is going to be taking us through self-service. So how can you use Community Cloud to power some really rich self-service experiences, whether it's customer portals, service communities, help centers, all of the great work that's being done there. He's also going to talk through channel management. That's your baby, right,
yes,
Fabrice?
It is,
yes. Yeah. So with channel management, how can you actually build stronger relationships with your partners, with your resellers, help them do really well? And then Ako, her first time, doesn't look like it, but hey, Ako. So she's going to be taking us through B2B commerce. How can you build engaging self-service experiences with B2B commerce? All right, with that, let's go into experience platform. Did I mention that I was excited about CMS? I'm really excited about this. This is a product area that our team does. And it's been open beta for a couple of releases now, and we're so excited to say that for winter, it's going to be generally available. Now, what can you do with Salesforce CMS? Salesforce CMS is a hybrid content management system with which you can create connected digital experiences. So what is hybrid, you may ask? Well, when we speak to our customers, they usually have a number of digital touch points. A customer might have their main site, they might have a service community, they may have a mobile app, they may have B2B commerce storefront. So the first thing the hybrid CMS lets you do is author content in a central repository and then share it with any one of these channels. So we have a headless content as a service that is a key piece of that. The second thing you can do with our CMS is build out experiences very easily. So if you've been following our community builder journey over the years, you know it is a super powerful tool. It lets people create pixel perfect experiences, and that's part of CMS as well. And lastly, we are Salesforce. So our CMS sits on top of the world's #1 CRM platform. So all of that customer data you have, you can use it to personalize, target, and provide those really nice, relevant experiences as well for your end customers. So this is a question that I get asked quite a lot. So what is content? So great, it's a content management system. What is content? And in our team, we usually like to say, hey, if it's part of your digital experience, it's content, baby. So there's quite a few different things. Think about a site, right? You have marketing and web content like images, videos, banners, blogs, news. You need a way to create and manage that and update that on a periodic basis. Similarly, you have CRM content, so all of the great knowledge articles you may already have, maybe product catalog information, some custom objects that customers create. You want to use that content and surface it in a visual way in your site experience, and our CMS can help with that. And lastly, you have document and record content. What about things like white papers or files and attachments? You want to be able to manage that too. So all of this is content that you can author and you can manage. And as I mentioned earlier, you can do it in a headless fashion. So if you look in the bottom of the screen, those are some of the organization capabilities we give you, right? So you can take all of this content, you can create content of these different types, you can use content spaces, which is essentially organizing them based on maybe business departments or channels or however you want to organize them. You can version the content, you can translate it into multiple languages. And with all of this, you can also now share it or reuse it across different endpoints. So on the top here, you see all of the different endpoints we support. So with our open beta, some of you might already know that we support Lightning communities. Well, for winter, we are very excited to say that if you're a Visualforce community user or if you're a B2B customer, you're going to be able to use our CMS as well. And then going into spring, this I'm really excited about. We are opening this up. So if you have an endpoint that's either outside of Salesforce, or maybe you have an endpoint within Salesforce like Marketing Cloud or Heroku, you'll be able to use our CMS. And not only that, we are also working on building much tighter integrations with some of these endpoints. So with B2C Commerce, Page Designer is their declarative page building capability that we're very excited about. So we are going to have a much tighter integration there. And going into summer, we are going to have a much tighter integration with Marketing Cloud as well. So specifically, if you're a cross-cloud customer, take note, Salesforce CMS, we've got you covered. There's also some really exciting things happening with the experience building as well. The first one is persona-based access control. I mean, our customers have asked for this quite a bit, and we are very happy to provide this for you. So if you want to have some users have access to just the designing capabilities of the builder, but some of them to having access to publishing rights, you can use this feature to do just that. And also, you can create the page layout of your dreams with the flexible layouts, and I'm going to be demoing some of that as well. And Fabrice, I think you're going to be demoing the navigation menu, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that one, you can actually have different audiences have different navigation menus on your site, so that's pretty exciting. All right, with that said, I'm very excited to now move on to our demo. So let me go over and pull this up. All right, so for our demo today, we are going to be using the one and only Capricorn coffee. Now, these guys, they love their coffee. They make sure that they work with farmers around the world to source the best organic coffee. And this is their main website. It's a beautiful website. You can see that customers can come in here. They can learn about their brand. They can maybe shop for different accessories. You have classes, so they like to share their passion for coffee. So you see they have a number of classes and events talking about the fine art of coffee making. So really a lot of rich content here on the site and a really slick website, if I may say so myself.
I like it too, by the way.
You like it too?
Yeah,
okay,
it's great.
awesome.
That's great.
And all of this has been built using our CMS and DXP. So let me show you how. So the first thing you want to do is to create this content, right? And for that, you go into our CMS. This is our new Salesforce CMS app that's available. When you click in here, you see there's a number of different workspaces. So what is a workspace, you may ask? So workspace is a way for customers to organize their content according to their content lifecycle. So here you might say, hey, each of my individual endpoints, my B2B site, my community, I want to have different workspaces for it. Or it may be according to your department, your team. It's up to you how you want to configure it. So let me go ahead and click into one. I'm going to choose the consumer sites one. And you see that Eric Ware has been pretty busy. He's been creating content of different content types. So some of them are in draft, some of them are published. So this is one thing that's we're introducing new for winter. We had some out-of-the-box content types available, but with winter, you can actually create your own custom content type. And what is a custom content type? Well, think of it as a blueprint for your content authors to create content. So when I come in here, you see that, hey, I have a banner content type. I'm asking my content authors to fill in a title. They can fill in some rich text, have a couple of images, a video URL, some action text. So this is the blueprint, and your content managers or your marketing managers, your business users can fill this up. Now, this is also pretty powerful, right? Because we're decoupling the authoring from the presentation. So they are authoring it, and based on your endpoint on mobile, you can display this a different way. On your community, you can display this a different way. So it's pretty powerful. The other thing we introduced for winter is the ability to support multiple languages. So for sites that actually have multiple languages, this is great. You can also go ahead and add different users to your workspace and give them different roles. So here you see some of them are content admins, some of them are content managers. And last but not the least, this is pretty powerful. I told you this is a headless content service. So this is where channels comes in. Go into the channels tab, and now you're actually picking and choosing which endpoints you want to share this content with. So here you see I've already shared it to a number of sites available in my org today. We pretty much for winter, like I said, we support B2B, Visualforce communities, Lightning communities. You're going to see all of them listed here from your org, and you can now share this content with them as well. All right, so now we've gone ahead. Eric's been busy. He's got some great content. We want to create the experience. So to do this, we are going to go into my favorite, the community builder. So for folks who have not seen this community builder before, this is your declarative site experience editor with which you can drag and drop and create this beautiful experience, right? So some of the things here that's pretty neat is you have things like page variations. So for all of the pages you have, whether you're selecting a page from your template or you're creating your own custom page, you can have different variations for it and target it to different audiences. One of the things that I'm pretty excited about when you try to create a new page is flexible layouts. Like I said, we want you to create the page layout of your dreams. So let me show you a little bit of how that works, right? So this is a page that's been created entirely with flexible layouts. When I click in here, you can see that I have the ability to add new sections. I'm also able to go ahead and change it to say I want a 7-column layout or a 2-column layout. So a lot of flexibility here for you to create your page layout. And one of the other things you can do is now drag and drop components. So if you've dialed into Community Cloud before, you know we've pretty much componentized all of Salesforce, right? So if you want a chat or feed in your community, pull that in. You're all hooked up. If you want flow so that you can use it for GDPR or user registration, pull that and you can configure that and you're set to go. Besides the standard components, we also give you a lot of custom components as well. And we have some APIs coming in for winter with CMS, so you can create custom components for CMS as well. But if you don't want to use custom components, we understand you want to actually get going quickly, use some of our standard out-of-the-box components, right? So these are some of the CMS components we have. Here's an example of one. So Fabrice and Akko, I'm going to show you in under 30 seconds how you can actually create this. Do you believe that?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to go create the same exact experience for you. I'm going to drag and drop a CMS collection component. Boom. I'm going to go ahead and add the content. So this is all the content that's been shared to me from my Salesforce CMS. So I'm going to use some events here. Let's use this events near you collection. So for folks, collection is simply a way for you to curate your content and say, hey, I want a featured collection, or you're just telling a story with that, right? We, of course, offer a number of different layouts for your collections. I'm going to stick with this grid layout for now. That looks pretty neat. You can also change how your individual content looks like. I'm going to pick the title layout. So you see that now that component is beginning to take shape. And one of the powerful things we've introduced is this field mappings, right? Like I said, your content is headless, so you now need to tell your layout what content to use here. So now I'm going to say that my headline is going to come from my event title, my subheading is coming from my, maybe the event detail, and I want the image to come from my primary image. I want the flag, I want to show a flag, why not? So I'm going to go ahead and show a flag as well. And you start seeing that it's looking pretty similar, right? And we have a lot of styling options. I don't have the time to go through everything. This amazing, a lot of great styling options to get the look and feel you want. You can even change the background color and stuff like that of all of these layouts and customize this. And one of the things I'm also particularly excited about is the ability to override what happens when somebody clicks on this as well. So a lot of customization options here. And yep, so we've created this site. And of course, you know that, with communities, CRM is everything. So you do have the ability to personalize your pages. You have the ability to personalize your individual components. In fact, I think one of the things we're pretty excited about that's coming up as part of it's a pilot for us in winter, is all of these great personalization APIs that you can just do that. You can create a page, you can assign audiences, you can create audiences, all of this using APIs. So that's coming up for winter as well. Look out for that. So that about wraps it up, Elna, for what I wanted to show today.
Well, that was great. And I really appreciate you showing such a long roadmap, because I know this feature is of a lot of interest out there and people want to see how it's developing because there's a lot to it. And I know that you have a lot of plans. So great to see all those big plans and how more great stuff is coming in future releases. Now, the custom components of CMS sounds really great. So can you just clarify, is there just a collection of custom components that people can just use right out of the box, or do they have to go get them somewhere? Or?
Yeah, so we have standard components, the CMS single item and collection. But let's say you don't really like the look and feel. I mean, we're giving you a lot of options, but you may want to do your own thing. You can just code up a custom component, and we have our APIs available, so you can populate the content within that as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. So now a few people were asking, Deborah, Yogesh, Rajni, is CMS an add-on product for Sales Cloud or some other product, or what license is needed to use it?
All right, so I'm really excited to tell you guys, if you have a core org, as of winter, specifically since we're supporting communities and B2B, if you have that enabled, it's available for you. You can go ahead and use that and play with it. So you will get, look at our release notes. We have a lot more information there with respect to, the content records and the content types available, etc.
Right. And a related question from Melissa, if you have users who have different roles and different things, are there different license types for like content admins versus creators or managers?
No, they aren't. So you can just add any user in your org and just give them a role within the CMS.
Great. Now, one thing that came across my mind is, how do you actually define content? Like when I think of content, sometimes I think of a file, like a PDF file or a video or something. So when you created content in your demo, were you was it more like you were creating metadata about content and then maybe attaching a file to it and then figuring out where to organize it or how to present it?
That's actually a great question, right? So let me tell you a little bit about headless content. So the idea here is that as a custom content type, you're defining the blueprint. So if I'm coming in as a marketing manager, I almost see a form, if you will, of like what a blog should look like or what a banner should look like. What are the fields I would require them to fill out? And then they go ahead and they fill it up with either text or images. They can attach files, they can attach videos and everything, populate that, right? And now you have all of that content available, and with your experience, what I showed you is how you can take that and you can pretty much say, okay, in my layout, I want the content to go here. I want it to look a certain way. I want it to be customized a certain way.
Got it. Okay, so let's say there's customers who are interested in this. They don't have it currently. Where can they learn more about it? How can they get it?
So glad you asked. So definitely our release notes, but we're also working on a number of blogs as well that are coming, I think, over the next couple of weeks. So look out for that, where we will actually give you a lot more detail and sample implementations on how you can use this and get going quickly.
Maybe we can post something in the community after our session today, like maybe some links to some blogs or other resources.
Absolutely. Sure thing.
And if you have a community about CMS specifically, we can give a link to that as well.
Yeah, we have a Salesforce CMS Trailblazer community. I'll definitely link that up.
And what if I have a Visualforce community? Does it work with that?
Yes. So like I said, we have our APIs available. So in the CMS, you can say, hey, I'm sharing it with my Visualforce community. And then I know, Akko, you're going to touch a little bit about how Visualforce is evolving as well. But then you can also start using APIs and creating, let's say, Visualforce pages and using CMS there.
Gotcha. Now, what about storage management or space? How is it calculated? Is it calculated separately or within the Salesforce typical limits, storage limits?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So for images, we actually do use files, and we have a certain amount of file storage. You'll find that in our release notes, right? And then this is a little more, I want to give you a little more of a preview as well. For spring, we will have another license available. So if you have, unlimited content records, or if you want to have a lot more file storage than we currently support with winter, you can purchase that as well.
But a lot of customers keep the files in another repository, right? And then you can integrate with that. So if they do that, then they're not consuming the file storage, right? Is that true?
Yeah. CMS internally actually uses files. So we are built on Salesforce. We use a lot of our Salesforce endpoints. So, Yeah.
So there would be a file representing a piece of content that may live somewhere else.
Right. Yes.
So that file would be in Salesforce, but it probably wouldn't be as large, right? Or would it be the same size? Like just if it's a big PowerPoint
so I
document
think if I think about like files, it's usually like images and attachments, right? So we have files today, and a lot of our customers are using that. So when you actually go ahead and attach an image within a content type, you're using a file. I think this brings up a good question. Maybe in the Trailblazer community, I'll definitely shed some more light on some of that as well.
It's interesting because I know a lot of customers have repositories, SharePoint or all those different things. So, and sometimes they just want to leverage where they've already got it. And, so one other question about headless content from Bob. With all this great flexibility, how does CMS approach content approval, complex review workflows, content governance, all that great stuff?
That's a great question.
Yes.
For us, we are built on Salesforce. So one of the things we don't have today, we do have a basic content lifecycle, so you can take it through approval, publish, etc. But since we have Process Builder and we have some of those tools available in Salesforce already, you will see in our roadmap that over the spring and summer release, we are actually integrating with that as well. So then now you can actually define a nice workflow around how you want content scheduling, how you want reviews and notifications and things like that as well.
Nice. Yeah. Very exciting. All right. Well, we do have more content, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Fabrice, and we'll continue to take your questions, so keep sending them our way. All right, over to you.
Thank you, Elna and Gayatri. Fantastic demo. I have to say, after your demo on the content, I will never look at CRM records the same way.
Okay.
They look beautiful. Really love that. So we're going to switch now to Service Community Customer Portal first, and then Channel Management. So as you know, we've got that great communities to serve several use cases, actually. Self-service communities, that has been our bread and butter with peer-to-peer forums, knowledge base. We also have many users using a customer portal, right, to give their own customers access to their account, to CRM data. Maybe it's for invoicing, for business processes and flows. And we're bringing in winter a very interesting innovation. A couple of things I'm going to tackle today. A new navigation menu with tile variations, the channel menu, stay tuned for that one, changes to public site security, and the case feed to public-private case feed. Actually, I'm not going to demo that one. Maybe it's worth touching on that one briefly. As an agent, you will typically use the feed to send messages to your customers. And now, sometimes you will create a message that is private. So now we're making it easy in winter to switch the visibility of that message from private to public, meaning visible to your customer. And if you post by accident a public message, you can make it private. So this is what it is about. And along those lines, we're also improving file visibility on records. So that's the same idea of switching a file from private to your org to visible to your customers. There's other things I would just wanted to call out too before going to the demo. We had many requests from customers asking to support what we call the verified email verification. You know, when you change your email in Salesforce, you get a verification, a confirmation. So we are bringing that into winter release. So it's great for your own customers. And finally, there's also enhancement. You know, we have a new way to register login through phone, emails, or codes. And we are making this headless. So we're also going through the API route. But without any further ado, let's jump into the demo. And with that, I'd like to introduce Capricorn. We've seen earlier, Gayatri, you built a great demo. Capricorn was building the brand, right, around the coffee. And they work with the customers who are cafe owners, right? Yeah. And they sell coffee and coffee machines, and they sell it through the B2B Commerce. You're probably going to show us that later, Akko. Yep. And actually here today, I'm going to be one of the store owners, Lauren Boyle. So Lauren has a couple of coffee shops in New York. And she's at home today, and she got a call from one of her managers in one of the shops in Manhattan. And there's a problem with the coffee grinder. So first thing she will do, obviously, go to the self-service community. She's at home. That's her first experience. And what you'll notice here, you guys are pretty familiar with how that works, right? Forums, knowledge articles. And the way the community manager organized the information, if you look at the navigation menu, it's organized, it's easy access to the forum, maybe to the blog, and a quick contact us link, right? But typically, Lauren, because she's a customer, she has access to Premier support, right? And she's going to go directly to the customer portal, right? Obviously, different theming thanks to DXP, personalized experience. And what you'll notice here is the navigation menu is completely different, right? It's not anymore forums, it's not anymore a blog. It's about the store, it's about the knowledge base, it's about her orders, her cases, her data, right? So that menu has been changed, right? And this is the new innovation in winter, the navigation menu variation. So you can, based on different pages, publish different type of menus. In that example, we had a public site that had one version of the menu, and we have here an authenticated site with different version. So it's great because it means that if you have, for example, Lauren is maybe a gold customer, you could create different type of menu, right? For your gold customers, maybe some different menu for your silver, bronze, if you do this kind of tiering. This provides a lot of capability. So this is a nav menu variations. Really excited about that one. Great work from the team, by the way. I really like that aspect. So this is all great, but actually Lauren is going to the site because the coffee grinder doesn't work, remember? And if they don't grind coffee in the next 20 minutes, they won't be able to make coffee anymore, right? And they lose money. This is bad, right? We have a situation, guys. So let's try to fix that. So luckily, she's a premium support customer, so she knows she can contact support. And because she's really worried about that problem, she already called her Uber and she's going straight to the shop. So she's actually going to switch to her mobile phone. And let me just set that up for you guys. Okay, so I've got my agent. So this is the agent on the right. And on the left, actually, I'm showing you my mobile phone. And this is Lauren, right? Accessing actually. So what Capricorn has done, they use mobile publisher to push an app, right, for Capricorn customers. And you can see that app at the bottom, the smaller icon, and I'm just going to launch that app. So Lauren is in a cab and she wants to reach out agents, right, to get some support. So you can see this is the same experience embedded in her mobile phone app here. She has access to the same content, but really what she wants to do is to reach out to support. Obviously, on the home page, we are showing you she can chat with the expert. Live agent, this is great, none, okay? But actually, we're going to take you to the contact us page. We're showing you a different icon thanks to audience targeting, different personalization here. Question icon. And here, Lauren is actually, oh, that's interesting. She's having different options to reach out to support. She can send an SMS. She can message them through Facebook, use WhatsApp, call them, or use the live agent chat. This is pretty cool, no?
Cool. Yeah,
right?
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So this is a new channel menu you see right now in action. And actually, Lauren is a big fan of WhatsApp. So she's going to start a discussion on WhatsApp and just send a message to the agent, right? Coffee grinder not working, right? So what you'll notice, the agent has been notified, message arrived from WhatsApp. This is great. So you see the message that it has is here. Okay, great. And actually now, yeah, this is great. So this has been loaded. As you can see on the right, there's an automatic answer that I just received here. I'm just going to say, hey, stop and restart the coffee machine. Okay. Lauren is getting the message, and she's already now. She arrived at the store, and she said, "Yeah, it worked. Fantastic." Okay, and we just closed. We solved the issue, and what you've seen here is a very simple demo. It's very powerful, right? We can engage with customers through many channels, right? Whether it's SMS, Facebook, WhatsApp, and you can really embed that very easily into your experience. You could target that support to your top customers. So we're excited about the channel menu. It's available here. And one thing again I mentioned, the support agent now can use public-private feed, change that through the action menu, and also change the visibility of files if they want to, as they interact with Lauren. So this is the first part of my demo. So now we are going to switch gear. And I wanted to, let's go back to the deck.
What a great way to provide customer service. Yeah. I would be thrilled if I had
love that.
to.
It's very instant. Yep. You get the instant help. It's awesome.
And you get so many more options. Normally it's email or fill out the form, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to wait 3 days, you know. But here are these multiple instant channels, and I can use whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun? Is it a great way to engage with your customers?
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. So moving on to the second part of our demo here is public site security. So, as you know, trust is very a core value at Salesforce, and we looked at a public site that decided to enhance the security model, and that's one thing I'd like to cover today. We really look at it from a perspective where we really wanted to make the site secure by default, right, and follow the principle of least access, right, least privileges that we typically apply through sharing and security. And what I'm going to cover in my demo is really four areas changes. The first one is a new guest sharing model that we're making available in winter. Then, as part of that new guest sharing model, we are changing record ownership for guests, letting you reassign that ownership to a default user. Third, we're making some change to guest profiles, and we're calling out also here in that slide, I'm not going to go into details today, some of the critical updates we're also making to make the system better. And I'm just going to, again, go back to our demo. Actually, I could have stayed in full screen mode. And I'll start first with our Trailblazer community, right? And I just wanted to take a moment to explain what a public site is. So what you see here, you guys are very familiar, right? We have over 3 million Trailblazers on this community. I'm not logged into the community. So I can actually, if you look here, right, I can actually, I'm not logged in, I can access the site, so anyone in the world can access the site. I can see some of our great Trailblazers. Hi, I'm Amnon. Hi, Jason. And this is all possible to anyone in the world. The way it works, a public site is a site available built on force.com or community sites, right? And we use a guest user profile. So each site has one guest user profile. And whether it's you, Gayatri, Ako, or me accessing that site, if you're not logged in, we share the same guest user, right? So we see the same data, right? And not only we can see some of the members right now because we decided to do it that way, we can also look at some ideas, which is CRM data. So you can also expose some CRM data to your guest user, right? And some of the change we've made is really to provide you better options to secure your public sites. So the first thing we've done is introducing a new sharing model for guests. This is an option available in winter on an opt-in basis, which means that you need to enable a preference. So this is right here. I'll just show you that preference. This one, secure guest user record access. I check that box. This is off by default. So if you check it, it turns on the new guest sharing model. What does it mean? Couple of things. First, it means that the default external access is changing. So take, let's say, account and contract. We make it public read-write for that demo, right? As I turn on that new guest sharing, the portal users will still have public read-write access, but guest users will have private access, right? They will lose access to this. So prior to winter, both guests and portal will have the same access. Now we're decoupling that access, right? And one of the things, once I turn on this guest sharing, is that I can actually create a sharing rule for my guest users. So in that example, I'm going to create a sharing rule. I have some data sheets I'm used, so it's a custom object to show some data sheets to my customer, and it's something very public things. Think of known issues, ideas along those lines. So I'm going to create a new sharing rule. Okay, and let's go back to a normal size. Okay, great. Or maybe this. Okay. So the first thing you'll notice here as I create that new sharing rule for guest is that I have a new option. Right, a sharing rule type for guest specifically. Then it works like criteria-based sharing. I can select a criteria. So I created a custom field which let me say, hey, is this record accessible to guest users? If public access, that field is checked. Yes, right, it's accessible. So I'm just going to set it to true. Great. And finally, the last thing, I can target this sharing rule to different guest users. So what is interesting here is that you are targeting that sharing rule to a whole site, a guest user of site, because we are all the same user accessing the same site. So I'm going to use my demo site. And finally, the last point to notice is that the maximum access you can give to guest user is read. Because obviously guest users should not be able to update and delete records, or at least not as a guest user, right? In system mode, it's totally okay, right? So I'm going to create that sharing rule, and voila. Just in a few seconds, I was able to create explicit sharing rule to grant guest user access to those records. The one thing to notice here is that we also blocked membership to public groups or queues from guests, and you cannot use manual sharing. So this sharing rule is really the unique way to create, to share data with your guest users. So this is one big change coming in winter. Again, you can opt into that and test it out. The second thing we've done is actually enhancing record ownership for those guest users. So when a guest user owns a record, right, it can do anything on that record. It can edit it, it can delete it, which is obviously not something you want, right? You want to control that capability. So what we've done, we introduced the concept of a default owner for records. This is actually something, you can enable in winter again. So you can see here the preference. It's already enabled in my org. It's off by default. And as you enable it, you are going to follow a new behavior, which is really about saying, hey, if I create a record, I want that record to be actually owned by a default user. So let me show you that. So I enable default owner. I'm going to my administration workspace. And within preferences, now you'll notice, and I'm going to show you that, you notice record ownership, new section, that basically let me assign a default owner whenever a guest user creates a record. So take an example, you create an idea on an idea exchange. Let's say you have that behavior enabled. Now Sam is going to own the record, and you're going to use a sharing rule to let the guest user view the record. This is the idea of this. The last change I wanted to call out here around the public site security is another one around a permission that is called view all users. And I'm going to use my Trailblazer community to explain actually how that works, right? So prior to winter, you could use different settings. One setting called community user visibility to let all your users within a community see each other, including the guest user. So in that example, that setting could be used to say, hey, I want that guest user to be able to see all the Trailblazers. Great. However, what happens if you build a customer portal, a partner portal, and you don't want actually guest users to see those users? Maybe you just want them to see a branding on your product on Capricorn, but you don't want to see those users. Community user visibility will cover both. The other option was to use view all users, right? But it gives access to a lot. So what we've done, we introduced a new preference on the site called guest user visibility. So as of winter, you can still use community user visibility to grant any authenticated user visibility into other members that are authenticated. But just for guests, we have a separate preference. So if it's checked, the guest can see those other users.
I see.
And you can apply it at site level, really. So again, a lot of flexibility for the admin.
So you're really just giving the control back
Right.
to the end customer. Yeah, absolutely.
So we covered a few of the changes coming up. I'm not going to go into all the details. There's a few more I'd like you to be aware of. So one of the things we are doing in winter, we are making all those changes opt-in. We understand it's a lot. To learn about and to test. So you have all those changes opt-in, which means that you can again enable that new behavior and assess how you can leverage it into your org. One other thing we are going to do is we're going to enforce those new security policies. We really want to make sure that our customers build public sites that are secure by default and that use sharing rules, so they explicitly grant access to users. This is very important. So you can see on the right-hand side here different enforcement timelines. One of the big enforcement for what we've seen today is really around the 1st of March. So post-spring release, we're going to enforce the view all users, the guest sharing, and the ownership. And really, again, we've had a couple of webinars already. We're going to run more webinars, either Trailblazer webinar. We have 2 coming up on October 1st and 2nd. We also have a Trailblazer group to answer all the questions about the change, and you can check our release notes too. And really our ask here is that you already start looking at some of these changes, right? Start looking at these changes, assessing the impact. One other thing we've done actually to help you look at these changes, we wanted to make it a bit easier for you to assess the impact. So you probably noticed in my demo, there was a bar here that said, hey, there's a security update in your org. Please review the settings. So this is something we're introducing in winter, really a way to inform you about those changes. And actually, when I go to the security update page, we're listing all the changes we just talked about, right? And you can see it's built similar to guided setup, if you're familiar with this. And as we go, you can track your progress. You can see if they're required or optional. You can look at the enforcement date. So we try to be very transparent. If you look at the details, we're giving you some explanation about, hey, what's changing, is it affecting you, and how. And really what we are providing is a step-by-step approach to actually, it's kind of guidance to help you assess the impact of your org. So this is not going to change or apply the security update. It's just going to help you assess the impact so you can actually complete some steps like here. We tell you what to do. And when you're done, you can give us the feedback that, yes, we've done. I totally understand what's going on. And this is a great feedback loop for us to know that you guys are safe, you understand the changes. One quick note on that sticky message. We're working on making it much easier to be removed. We got some feedback, so we're working on that, guys. Stay tuned.
That's great. I really like that guided steps approach. That's helpful.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success on that one from the guided setup already. You know, we have a lot of guided setup on features, and we thought, hey, there's no better way than help a customer than providing this kind of tool. Yeah. So I'm going to switch now to the channel management part, and this is. As you know, this is another bread and butter again. This is my baby, as you said. I love everything around partner management. This is all about selling through the channel. Whether you're a high-tech company selling through distributors, resellers, whether you're a manufacturing company with a dealership network, whether you are a financial service company with brokers and agents, this is all about the channel. And we enable you to recruit and onboard those partners and to enable them, get them ready to sell. Maybe we let you market through those partners. So this is all the key use cases we support. This is probably, in terms of winter demo, I'm going to show you the delegated admin assigning permission sets. That one is probably one of my favorite. It's been built by my good friend, Laurent Kubalski, another French PM within our team based out of Paris. Hi, Laurent, if you are watching us. And this is really something very powerful. And we're doing a lot of work. We've probably seen in a previous release note, Readiness Live, that we've enhanced a lot of the security sharing model with account relationship, sharing set, managing accounts, delegated admin, and we're continuing that journey here. So without any further ado, let me bring you into, this is a different demo. The Pacifica is basically a manufacturing company selling solar panels through channel partners. I'm logged in as James Preston. He's the CEO of CTW, one of the partners selling Pacifica product. He has also superpowers. So he can actually manage users within his account, what we call delegated admin from that page. Right. And one other thing we've done first in winter, we understand that James is not an admin. He's just a business guy, right? He likes spending time selling, but he still needs to do some administration work. What you see here is a very simplified new user creation flow where I already pre-created my contact and I'm using Jean Dupont. Yeah. He's not American, right? So I can actually just quickly create the information for Jean Dupont. And for admins who know user record, you know there's probably 10, 12 fields that are mandatory, right? But here, just by providing 2 or 3 fields, we can create the user. So we created a way to default those fields and provide a very easy and simple experience for business users here on the site. And now comes the great feature that my friend Laurent built, right? James is working with Chloe. She's being recruited 3 months ago, and he wants to get her to have access to more LMS capabilities. Right. In the past, maybe because those by default you needed to make a request to Pacifica that was taking a lot of time. Now is going to use the manage permission sets. What it means is that we are letting James actually assign permissions to users within his account. So here we can let Chloe access the LMS and the player. Okay. So this is a permission set. Can just save and that's it. Right? So it can actually grant access to maybe features, capabilities, promote users, demote users. A great example in B2B Commerce, right? You think of a buyer manager. There's many examples to that. And this is very powerful, right? In terms of delegating administration of your users.
It really empowers the customers to be able to do this.
Right.
Hand off the control.
Yeah. So I'm going back to, James is a partner. He works with a channel account manager. Right? And the channel account manager here is Erica. I'm logged in as Erica. So Erica can also obviously manage, this is CTW, the account. And what's interesting here is that Erica can also manage users through the same component we've displayed, right? And you see Chloe here has been, James assigned the permissions Chloe, but you could think that Erica can also do the same, right? So we made it available internally, right? But wait, don't you notice something odd here? So I'll expand. See? So we just gave an LMS player user, but she has more permissions. Why is that? Because we are giving more superpowers to Erica. She can have access to more permissions. Some permissions we don't want to give to the partner, right? We just want to give them basic permissions. So this is a great, again, great way of delegating permissions to business users who is managing the channel within your org, right? So again, really excited about this. Try it out and give us your feedback. And with that, I think, Elna, this is really the end of my day also.
That covered a lot of ground, but definitely the theme is more control, right, and more flexibility. So I appreciate all of those updates, and thanks for using the Trailblazer community as an example.
Absolutely.
I think that might be the first time we've done that on the community.
I love the Trailblazer community.
Yeah, so do I. That we have in common. So this securing public sites thing is really important. So I want to make sure everybody's got that and what they need to do to learn about that, assess the impact, make sure your communities and public sites are all ready for that. So as Fabrice mentioned, we are doing a webinar on this. There's also office hours and lots of other resources. If you want, maybe you can do a post after today, just kind of.
Right, we can definitely do a post to summarize what we want you to do.
Yeah.
We should direct our Trailblazer. We have a dedicated group to answer questions. We're going to rerun the webinar, and we're putting in the group all the assets, right? And we're actually providing you some tools to assess how your org might be impacted with the change and things that might need to be done.
Okay, right? So look for a quick summary post in the Release Readiness group that will point you to that group. And we can give you the link to the webinar, or you can just ask for it and we'll give it to you. Either way, whichever is easier for you. So the nav variation, that's amazing. I love it. But does it work with audience targeting?
So that's a great question. Short answer is no. So what you can do today with nav menu variation is probably create, what I showed is different pages, page variations with different themes, and you can assign different nav menu to those pages, but you cannot target them to an audience. It is on the roadmap, so stay tuned.
Okay, good. Well, we've started with step one at least, right?
Right.
So Roger was asking, can we add more channels? Like, wouldn't they get excited about channels? But of course, new channels are out there, like Skype, for example. Ooh. Are there other, anything else on the roadmap or that you could add today?
That's a great question. Definitely something we'll follow up on the Trailblazer community because it's something we've demoed, I think, in Service Cloud Trailblazer. So we will direct you to our specialist.
I recall seeing FaceTime demos, that would be interesting too, right? Jennifer was asking about the public-private feed setting. So where do you actually change the message from public to private in the community? Where are you actually making that selection?
on the feed itself. So that's the action menu on your feed post.
Is on this, it's at the post level,
Yeah,
right?
the post,
so you can have
like,
a mixture of things
yes,
on that feed that are
right.
public and private.
Like today you could edit the post. It's in that same menu, right? You could have make public if it's private or make private if it's public.
Nice. So if you accidentally
One click.
pick the wrong thing,
One
you can
click.
go back.
We made it easy.
And let's see, can you confirm that permission sets can be assigned to Salesforce and external users?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Just in case anyone was wondering
Yes.
that. And then Divya was wondering if you choose to message a number, that was one of the channels, like I guess a text message. Where does that go in support? Does it go to like a specific person, or is there a queue associated with a phone number, or how does that message go in?
So the message, actually, in fact, I'll deflect that question to the specialist here.
Okay. Service Cloud folks?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll let them answer instead of trying to. I have an idea, but I'd rather deflect it to
Okay.
our specialist. Yeah.
Probably something that's configured on the org level.
So typically, I mean, you obviously configure your channel menu, so it knows who is triggering the message, and the back and forth. There's integration on your phone, right? Like in that case, so it's linking to WhatsApp or SMS, and it's tracking also who is sending that message. So it knew that Lauren Boyle was sending that message. It's probably tracking through some mechanism. But I think it would be good to post that one back. We'll follow up. Yeah.
All right, well, we have about 15 minutes left, so I'm going to hand it over to Akko because we have a whole nother set of features to cover with B2B Commerce.
That's right. So thank you, Elna. As I said, this is my first time joining the Release Readiness Live, but actually it's the second time that the Salesforce B2B Commerce is part of this Community Cloud's Release Readiness Live. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview of what Salesforce B2B Commerce is and touch on our release cadence, and then jump right on to the new features that we just released earlier this month. So what is Salesforce B2B Commerce? It is an application that's built within Salesforce, and it is an application that you can use to build and manage the B2B commerce site for your business. So it is designed with the B2B specific needs in mind. So it provides powerful functionality like account-based pricing or contract-based pricing, ability to browse custom catalogs, ability to split shipments, an order into multiple different shipments. And it really provides that the self-service experience for your end customer end buyers while providing the full shopping experience. And I said it's built natively to Salesforce. What that means is that all of your commerce data, so products, prices, promotions even, all of that lives in your Salesforce org, which is where you, of course, have accounts, customers, sales, and all the other great objects like communities as well, right? So that means all of the commerce data lives seamlessly in your Salesforce org. Therefore, you have a really great view into your customers. That's what we call a 360-degree view on your customers. And then also, because it is built in the cloud on Salesforce, the implementation time tends to be much faster than some of the other enterprise commerce platforms that are out there. Now, you might be wondering, like, okay, I get what Salesforce B2B Commerce is, but why are you here presenting at the Community Cloud's Release Readiness Live? So the answer is actually quite simple. Because it's not only native to Salesforce, it is built, it leverages communities and a digital experience platform that the Gayatri mentioned earlier. So what that means is that we are able to provide this rich customer experience through that. So all of the self-service experience that comes with it, so like B2C-like look and feel, the ability to browse or search for products, or get in the product recommendations, or ability to manage your account information like contact information, payment information, as well as looking up the orders or invoices. Those are all powered by the Community Cloud and the digital experience platform. And I'm going to demo this in a little bit, but as Gayatri mentioned earlier, things like Salesforce CMS or the APIs that can come out of Community Cloud, because we are so tightly integrated, we're able to take advantage of that as well. So it's just very, very exciting. All right, and then just a couple of quick things that are good to know around the B2B Commerce releases. So our releases are always a little bit after our Salesforce core releases. So if you look at this timeline, we're here presenting the Winter 20 releases from the Community Cloud side, but we as a B2B Commerce just released the Summer 19 release, which was earlier this month. So that's the release that I'm focusing on and talking about in this session today. And the other thing is that the B2B Commerce has a specific version number tied to it with each release. So this is our version 4.11. And I might be referencing Summer 19 or 4.11. They mean the same thing. So now that's in a way, we can look at the features that we introduced in our Summer 19 version 4.11 features. Just to give you a kind of a high-level overview here, we had 3 themes tied to our release this time. The commerce management is related to, say, personas of Salesforce admin or B2B Commerce admin, and its infrastructure or system-related improvements or enhancements. So under that, we have optimized the checkout flow. So we now have a new order review page that is to go with the new cart page we introduced in the previous release to really enhance and optimize the page load speed and the processing time of your checkout flow. We have also optimized the autocomplete functionality for Product List Page 2.0. This is the search type-ahead feature that will return the results much quicker. And we had a few SEO enhancements around as well, around the multilingual support, as well as the ability to serve your custom contents to the web crawlers. The cyber security authentication, in mid-September, there was a new regulation that came out in Europe that now requires a 2-factor authentication for your credit card payments. And CyberSource being our add-on market template that handles payment information that our customers can choose to use, we made sure that that meets the new requirements. Now, under the commerce framework, these are again for personas like admin, B2B commerce admins, but it's really more related to the core commerce capabilities and functionality. We have now a wonderful out-of-the-box integration of the Google Analytics, which I'm going to detail in a little bit. I'm very, very excited about that. It's really this click, not code concept, and it's very easy to plug in, and it's just basically go. And then also we have the coupon capabilities, and we added the APIs to make it more flexible. You can insert your own logic, say before or after a coupon is applied, to make it more customer specific. So you can insert logic to make that coupons only applicable to certain customers or accounts, as well as say make it available only during certain time of the day. Now, under the digital experience, this is relating to the end buyer's experience, the self-service experience. We have a new reorder widget on the Visual Force storefront side. And then we have a B2B landing components. This is really exciting to have. This is how we are connected to be able to take advantage of the CMS contents that Gayatri mentioned earlier. So I'm going to demo that as well. Now, that was a quick overview, and I am going to deep dive a little bit onto the Google Analytics and the landing components. So for Google Analytics, like I said, it's now out-of-the-box integration. What that means is that you can go to the B2B admin console and you can plug in your tracking ID, and it will be the data will be sent to Google Analytics immediately. So you can see all the data coming through in the Google Analytics console, and that's where all the data will live. By default, we have a few really great tracking that we included. So the page views, if you think of like top pages, right? Home page, product list page, cart page, all those key pages you want to track, those are tracked under the page views. And for events, we really try to think how your end buyer's journey, customer journey looks like throughout your site. So we started with the search and discovery, and then to shopping, to checkout. So that with the search events, you can tell what kind of keywords customers are entering, not only the ones that actually return some results, but also the ones that didn't return any results. And those are actually the key things that you want to know. What people are using, what typos or what products they're looking, that they're not just is coming up. So we made that very easy for you to see the two different types of search results. And then like discovery, if you think of the search is more of an active way of looking for products, discovery is more of a reactive way. So you are kind of reacting to the content you serve. So say clicking on a promotion or clicking on the product page or the product list page. Those are all considered as a discovery products. And then moving on to the shopping, events like clicking on applying a coupon code or actually adding products to cart or continuing to the continuing shopping button. Those are all sort of the shopping flow. And then let's not forget the important checkout step, which starts with somebody clicking on the checkout button as well as submitting an order. So all of these key events are captured under the events. And then you can also turn on the e-commerce settings in Google Analytics, and that will let you get the transaction details of individual orders. And then error pages are also tracked. So if you can turn on the report in Google Analytics, you can build the report to see all of the error messages or validation errors that they're getting. Now I'm moving on to the B2B Commerce landing components. So these are the brand new components. I'm really excited to showcase this today. So we have 4 components. Now these are new components, Lightning components that appear in the Community Builder page, and I'm going to demo that in a little bit. But we have featured products, the header, reorder, and spotlight. So what really these components are good for is you can create now an entry point to your storefront from a community page. So I'm going to again demo what's in the community builder to see it as from an admin side. But really think of this as a components that bridge your community page and a storefront. So this is a new concept. Really excited that we can take advantage of the Lightning components. Now, before I get to the demo, just real quick, we are also building our ecosystem around the B2B commerce. So we're working with several ISV partners, not only those are on this page, as well as the others, to build up that ecosystem. And more to come around the Dreamforce time, so stay tuned for an update. Now I'm going to do a quick demo. So I'm going to first log in as Lauren Boyle, who we know already. She's the store owner for the Capricorn Coffee. And then log in as Eric Ware, who is the admin for the commerce, B2B Commerce Capricorn Coffee, to show you how the components are built. So now I am logged in as Lauren, and this is the Visualforce storefront that you guys are probably used to seeing. Now what I want to highlight here is this new reorder component. So it will show up to 5 last orders, and you can click on order again to put all of the items back into cart. And this, from your standpoint, from our customer standpoint, makes that it easy for end buyers to repeat purchase. So we're really trying to make that quickly. And then now, let's say there is another sort of home page that's built with the community page. These are the components that you can see. So this is the new Spotlight component, the featured products component, and then the reorder component. So it is linked to the storefront. So if I clicked on this this product, I'll then be taken to the Visualforce storefront. Now I'm on a Visualforce storefront page looking at this product. So that's kind of what I meant by bridging the gap between the community page and the storefront. So now let me go log in as Eric, who is the admin for this Capricorn Coffee, and I'm going to show you. So I'm back here now with the community builder that the Gayatri showed earlier, and where they show up. So now if you install B2B Commerce, if you go scroll all the way down, there are new custom components that are named with B2B Commerce. So those are the 4 components that you can see, and there's some flexibility with these components as well. So if you clicked on this, you will have some options to move images right on left and other things. So you can add a heading if you like. Also with the featured products, you can decide how many products to show. There are a few options. And all these customization are of course possible because we're in the builder. The other thing I want to highlight is that the CMS collection that Gayatri highlighted earlier, I'm actually able to do this because I am again in the community builder. So this image below actually comes from the CMS app that we create, the contents that we created there. And then this is a CMS single item component, so that I just dragged it down there. So this is hopefully a great way for you to see how now the B2B commerce component can coexist and live with the community components, and that you can connect the customers from the community page to the storefront. All right, and that concludes the demo.
Wow, that's really nice. And thanks for sharing the release cadence. That's really helpful to know.
Yeah, I thought it might be
So
good
these
too.
features are already live then, because they
Yes,
came out
they
this
are.
month, right?
Yep.
So that's great to know. And I also really love the new components that tie together and, like you said, bridging the gap between the community and the storefront. Were you actually bringing in a component that was part of the Visualforce storefront into the Lightning?
Yes,
Builder,
so
so-
exactly. That's a very good point, Elna. Thank you for pointing that out. So we have Spotlight products already as part of a setup that you can create on the Visualforce side. And also there's a feature products as well. So those are all, those data already exist on the Visualforce side. You're able to just bring that over and embed into the community page.
Gotcha. So you're using it in both places, essentially. So if
Exactly.
somebody went to the storefront, just straight up went to the storefront, not through the community,
Yep.
they would see the same, possibly the same component, maybe in a different place, but they would
Exactly.
see the same underlying component.
Yep, and then that's why when I clicked on that coffee product as Lauren, I was then taken to the Visualforce storefront because it's connected and it knows where to go.
Nice.
Which is very powerful. In our example, we have a storefront site, we have a support site. You can
Yep.
very well add those components to your support site to try to cross-sell
Exactly.
or promote some products.
Yep, that's right.
Nice. So with Google Analytics, can you talk a little bit more about where you enter your tracking ID?
Sure. So in the B2B Commerce admin section, you have configuration settings, and the module is called Analytics. And you can go in there and you can create a new config setting, and then you can type in your tracking ID there.
And you were mentioning some of the things that you can track. What about abandoned cart? Is that one of the things that Google
Those
Analytics
are going
tracks?
to be in the Google Analytics. Yes.
Yeah. I could see that. I know that's one of the most common things that are tracked for follow-up communications, right? Like, hey, we noticed you were looking at this, and can we offer you a discount? So you know that they're interested. So how do I find out more about the connectors?
Yes, so like I said, we're stay tuned for more updates on around the Dreamforce time. But for now, please reach out to your customer success manager. But I know I went through the slide rather quickly, but some of those are actually live. So if you look them up on App Exchange, they'll be there. So you can get more information that way as well.
Excellent. Amazing. Well, that is pretty much, we've got one more minute left. So I'm going to, I faked you out there. I see a couple of questions from some attendees from some of the other content. So just want to go back and see if I can sneak those in before we wrap up. Christopher was asking, can the new default record owner feature for records created by community members and guests be a queue? Can the default owner be a queue?
No, I don't think so. I'll confirm on that, but no.
So maybe you want to have a conversation, get some feedback,
Right.
use cases, etc. I could definitely see how you would want that because
Actually, I have to double check actually on that. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
seems like a reasonable,
Yes.
a common thing. And then Heather was asking on the partner member admin, is there similar functionality that can be added to customer accounts?
Right. As long as you have what we call a Custom Community Plus license, that give you access to dedicated admin capabilities, yes, this is the same.
Great, thank you. All right, well, thank you everybody for all your questions. Keep them coming, we'll follow up with you. And that's a wrap for this week for our live sessions. We're still working on some of our on-demand extra recordings, so you'll find those probably next week. Thanks for joining us for Winter 20. If you missed any of these sessions, you can view the recordings anytime or share them with others. Now, if we didn't get your question live, don't worry, we'll follow up with you within the next few days, and we're definitely going to post some information about the security changes for you. You get all those resources, and we'll see you right back here in a few months for Spring 20 next year, early next year. And until then, let's keep the conversation going in the release readiness community, where all Trailblazers meet to be release ready.